I get all right. Uh, let's talk about the Killers. Going out of my head, and I'm doing just fine. No, not the band. The film from 1946, directed by Robert Siodmak. Um, Probably pronouncing that wrong. That's what I do. I talked about him a bit in the video for Phantom Lady. The director of that film is the director of this film, starring Burt Lancaster and Ava Gardner. We'll get into Burt Lancaster in a second here. It is based on a short story by Ernest Hemingway, who I mentioned in the last video for The Big Sleep. A lot of noirs are based on popular novels, short stories. Usually it's your Raymond Chandler and your sort of hard boiled detective type pulp novels. Hemingway, not his content isn't really like that. Not a lot, although there's an investigation in this film. That part was not in the short story. Hemingway lends himself a little bit, though, to the film noir and has in common the way he writes is very direct, very short sentences. Um, he has a lot of lived experience that he puts into his stories. So Hemingway is kind of not a total fit, but pretty good fit for a film noir. Anthony Vellier wrote the screenplay, also worked on the screenplay for The Stranger, that Orson Welles directed film starring Welles and Edward G. Robinson. So, yeah, the basis of the crime is from the short story. Everything to do with Burt Lancaster's boxer. Boxing, another one of these things that seems to go well or find a lot in film noirs, right? You have your femme fatale, you have the gumshoe detective, you have the crime, sometimes they're heist. There's often a boxer as well in a lot of film noirs, probably just because boxing was a larger part of the culture in the 40s and 50s, right? You got a better theory? Say so in the comments. But because there's boxing in not just film noirs and other genres of film around the time, but maybe it's more cinematic. Um, so this is the debut film of Burt Lancaster. Burt Lancaster, growing up, was very athletic. So he worked as an acrobat from the ages of 17 to 25. Burt Lancaster was an acrobat, part of an acrobatic duo. He injured himself, had to find work other means, and then he was in World War II. And then following World War II, he auditions for a role on Broadway, his first role he'd ever auditioned for, and he gets it. And then he's on Broadway, and then of course a producer sees him um, and puts him in the films. So Hal Wallace is the producer from Paramount who saw him, put him in films. The Killers is not the first film that he filmed. It's the first one that's released, which is why it was his debut. Um, and then long career for Lancaster. Because of his athleticism, he's often in these sort of action adventure sort of films. Uh, yeah, so natural boxer, right? And then later on, he's able to work himself into more serious roles, nominated for Academy Awards. He's in films like From Here to Eternity. I've done a video on that. Go watch that. So yeah, Burt Lancaster. This is his debut film. That's about it for The Killers and Hemingway and all of that. If you're watching, thank you. I do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Tell me, you like The Killers? Have you seen The Killers? The film, not the band.